So we are live in the studio with Rhonda Sheya, and this show exclusively is being brought to you by Albert Quintana. He used to be formerly with KUHSdenver.com, and he had the Connection show.
I know, he's great.
It was great, and
Great
he's got
guy.
3 books. There's only 2 right here,
Right.
but he actually had 3.
3 books.
I couldn't find the other one. It's the Crochet Lady, now up on his website, www.Quintana Reads, QUINTANA Reads.com. Quintana Reads. He's got these 2.
I know, it's got A Teacher Grows Up in Commerce City. He's got No More Green Chili, which I refuse to read. No, I shouldn't say that. I'd love to read it, but because I love green chili. I could live on green chili and pasta. That's it.
Everybody asks why
green chili, food with green chili, and Italian food. That's it.
And I think that's what his catch was. That's the catchy sound, what it's all about. So, being brought to you by Albert Quintana, the Connection show that he used to have, but he's no longer with the Connection show. That show is going to be brought back, but not as the Connection show. It's going to be called the Author Show, but there's going to be a whole new name, and it's coming right back for all those who want to check it out.
Well, thank you, Albert, for sponsoring the show today. That's really cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's cool.
And he wants to see an actual demonstration because we do this. We do this on a few of the shows, and Charlie does his, and he also does his sponsorship on the beginning of the show. But this show is about you, Rhonda.
Oh, I'm trying not to make it about me, but
Rhonda,
you keep trying to.
This show is all about you.
Yeah, okay, we'll hope it's interesting.
So, well, let's talk about this. Okay, so Rhonda.
Yes. So Henry.
We're going to start since you were young, all the way back to 5 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Up to 12 years old.
I don't have any memory of that. No.
I give you those memory pills, didn't you take them?
Oh, that's what those were.
Hallucinogenics.
You were looking cuter. I thought they were something else.
But it's all good. So I want you to check this out. This is going to be really good. Now I'm going to zoom into you. You tell us, growing up between 5 and 12 years old.
Oh my gosh.
And I'll be right back because it's all on you right now. It's all about you.
It's all about me. I don't know. It's not really that interesting.
Yes, it is. You can check out behind us. There's some few shots of Rhonda, and we're going to talk all about it. But for now, tell us, Rhonda.
Well, let's see. I was originally, my grandparents and my mother were from Rhode Island and moved to Colorado in the late 30s and early 40s. My mother met my father here. He was in the service, and then they went back to Illinois, where I was born, and lived for the first few years of my life. My parents were divorced when I was very young, so I moved back to Colorado with my mother, and lived with my grandparents for a while, and then that was kind of fun because they were Italian immigrants, and my grandmother, although they spoke English, my grandmother was straight off the boat from Italy when she was 16. And spoke very broken English, and in the home they spoke Italian, so that was kind of fun living in a house where I got to, basically hear that beautiful language, which is why I love Spanish so much. It's so very similar, and that Latin culture is just it's close to my heart. And then my mother and I lived here, and I grew up in Arvada from the time I was like 7 years old on, or 8 years old on. So I lived in Arvada, Colorado. Went to Arvada West High School. We're having our 45th reunion coming up this weekend, by the way. So from 5 to 12, I was always a crazy child. My mother used to tell her friends she didn't need more than 1 child because I was like having 6, and loved to ride horses, and even then was an outdoors girl, rode horses and hiked and camped and played in the mud, and I was never a girl that played with dolls or anything like that. I wasn't interested in it. Wasn't interested in anything that had to do with that. I always wanted to be outdoors, and I started skiing when I was 8. And skiing has been a lifelong passion. I still ski, so that's my biggest passion in my life is probably skiing and hiking and camping and rafting, and that's the things that I love, and photography, and all those things that started when I was young. By the time I was 12, I was publishing a neighborhood newspaper, and we would put all the dirt, like all of our friends would get together, and we would, this is so bad, we would get all the dirt, like the kids would tell us the dirt on everybody, so we would hear like little Sue would tell me what's going on in her family, and somebody else would tell, and then we put it in the paper and spread it all over the neighborhood, and the parents called my mom immediately. That was it. We don't like that newspaper, tell her to stop. But it was pretty good. It was like a gossip sheet, Always trying to do something creative, but more with my hands. Loved art and music, and still do. So those are my passions, and they all started then. Oh, there's Ruth. Hey, Ruth. And many of the people that I walked this journey with, I had 2 lives in many ways. I lived in Illinois for the summers, and I was in Colorado for the rest of the year. So I lived with my father and his family in the summer, and they were very white bread Protestant Wonder Bread kind of people. And my home here was very ethnic, and so it was kind of living in both worlds. I have to admit I like the ethnic world better, but nothing against the other one, but I just am more comfortable with it. And so he was a politician in Illinois, and so he had money, and he was a charming man, and things were pretty rigid there. And here, we didn't have any money at all. My mom worked 3 jobs, and I worked from the time I was 12, and we weren't very rigid. We were kind of fluid, so it was a very different world, and I think it adapted me to being able to relate to many kinds of people, from different walks of life. Because I walked with the kings and then I slept with the paupers,
Tell us about the sleeping with paupers.
I'm not telling you that. I knew you were going there. I was waiting
She gave
for
me
it.
a little time to get things shared out there, but it's really interesting. All the way to 12. Now, you went on to become a teenager and go through high school.
Mm-hmm.
And were you ever a pom-pom girl or a cheerleader or
I
run off with the
I was a
football
mat
players?
maid for.
Wait, did you run off with the football players?
Well, I married one, but.
Oh my God! Tell us about that. Come on.
But
I gotta hear this.
No, I loved junior high and high school. They were just absolutely some of the best times of my life, particularly high school. High school was just really fun. Lots of great friends. Pretty much knew, everybody, because that's the way I am.
And that's the way. But then you went on to college.
Yeah, and I'll talk about high school because we're having our high school reunion, the 45th, coming up. So that'll be Saturday. I'm really looking forward to that. And in high school, I was pretty active. I was a mat maid, and
I thought you were pretty active.
yeah, I was a mat maid, and my first, I was on student government 1 year or 2 years. I can't remember. I was in theater. I was on the tennis team for a few weeks.
Then I hurt my leg.
I don't want to practice anymore. I was like, I don't want to do this. But and then did a number of things in school. Just hung out with just about everybody, and it was just a lot of fun. I'm still really close with some of my friends from high school, and we have a little group called the KUHS. And it's all of us that went to junior high and high school together, and we just go do stupid things every February. For the most part, we have a girls' weekend, and so there's that.
And did you have any Sadie Hawkins dances at high school?
We did. We had some Sadie Hawkins dances. I went to I think it was 8 different elementary schools.
Really?
So I was one of those kids that was just bounced around a lot.
Oh my gosh.
And by the time I got to junior high, I had been to, I think, 7 or 8. I can't remember. It was ridiculous.
How did you learn?
I didn't. I was kind of dumb. I still am. I'm kind of dumb.
I'm kind of dumb.
And there's Barry and Paula Thorpe are on there. Barry Thorpe is one of my oldest friends. I don't remember a time in my life when I didn't know Barry and his family. They're from Illinois. And then moved to Colorado when they got out of school, and they lived here, and now they're in Florida, retired.
Wow.
And Cindy, the kumquats are watching. But anyway, so high school was really fun. I mean, it was. I was in theater. I was in a lot of the, just goofy stuff. I always did crazy, goofy things.
Nice. And then, how did you pick the college or the university?
I got a scholarship actually.
In what? Tennis?
No, not tennis. It was just a scholarship, for going to school. And so I got a scholarship and went to Western Illinois University, and loved it. I mean, oh my God, loved college. That was the time of my life. I was in a sorority, Delta Zeta, and many of my sorority sisters I'm still friends with today. And we just did some of the dumbest, craziest things. I mean, I all I can remember about college is drinking, laughing, smoking pot. That's it. And it was just the most fun I've ever had in my life. That's it.
And then we'll cram in the last 5 minutes to go do a paper and go to class.
I don't even know if we did that. It was like, okay, did I go to class? I don't know. I used to have to go in and check my schedule like halfway through the quarter because I wouldn't go to class, and I would couldn't remember where I was supposed to be.
That is really interesting.
I mean, I was bad, but I was smart enough that if I just showed up to class or I read the book, I didn't have to do both, and so I was able to pass and get through.
Get through it all.
Yeah, I was very fortunate that at that time I had a good memory, and frankly,
at that time you had a good memory.
Not anymore. But literally, I mean, I didn't really have to. It wasn't hard. It wasn't like work or anything. I just went to school and got my grades, and
And
had fun.
You were done.
Yeah.
Now, were you married at that time?
No, gosh, no.
When did you finally get married to the man of your dreams?
I got married in 1982, so it's 37 years ago.
Whoa.
Yeah. No, I was not married in college, and not until I was like 25 or so.
Did you find somebody else in college and thought?
I did date someone through college.
And you thought you were going to marry them?
I didn't know if I was going to marry him, but I was dating him. It was fun. I didn't think I was going to marry him. It was kind of a goofball. But
he would always be there for you, huh?
Yeah, not that kind of. It was just fun.
No, but
Yeah. I mean, not that kind of like always be there, like.
No, you know, the
He
person
wasn't
that,
dependable.
no, he wasn't
No,
dependable.
but he was fun. And that's all, you know, that's what your youth is about, having fun and just
yourself.
enjoying it, and, you know, doing all the things that, you know, when you get older, you're never going to do again.
Well, how did your husband come around 360?
We circled around, yeah. Well, we went to school together. So I always tell everybody I've known my husband, his name is Patty, P-A-D-D-Y. I've known Patty since we were 15.
Whoa.
And I said I never thought he'd be the father of my children, and I still don't think he is. No.
I love that.
And
that's the way to do it, though.
yeah, but we went to school together, and we actually didn't really date in school. The very end of our senior year, we started kind of being attracted to each other, and he had said he was going to call me. There's me up there. Anyway, he was going to call me. And then we both went off. He went off to play football at school, and I went off to school, and, you know, didn't really think much of it. And then after graduation, came back, and we were out running around one night. I was at a bar and ran into him. And it was that simple, and then that was it.
So if you're just joining us, it's the up close and personal show about Rhonda Sheya. And what we're doing here is we're letting everybody know who our BDJs are in here. I mean, you see their shows, you talk about, you know, they get on the show, they do all their thing, but you never get to actually see who they are and what their lives are about and what they've done. And that's why we've got Rhonda Sheya in here, because her show is WTF. How long has your show been running?
Gosh, I don't know, what, a year and a half?
Year and a half
yeah,
now.
it's been a while.
Really good.
Yeah,
Everybody likes
it's
her
fun.
show. Everybody talks about you're zany. They use the word zany,
I'm
crazy.
a little bit nutty, yeah. I
No,
admit
it's
it.
awesome. It's you bring it out.
You know,
you bring all these cool things.
I
to
think
the
life's
show.
about humor. If you
Yeah.
can't laugh, you may as well just lay down and die. So,
Now,
you know.
One area that you went into radio.
I was
back
in radio
when.
and TV. That was my degree in college. I started in theater, and I switched to radio and television. And that was my degree, and I actually was fortunate enough to be able to work in it almost my entire career. So.
And you know, there's a station in town that it keeps popping up everywhere, and it's KIMN radio.
Oh gosh, I know, that was so fun.
AM station,
Yeah.
big monster AM station. That was
Last
the
of
thing
the
back.
dinosaur AM stations.
Yeah, it was
right.
It was a big monster, and everybody loved KIM, you know, KIM and radio, and then they had the
We all grew up listening to it. If you grew
the
up
Kim
here.
Chicken, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I managed the Kim Chicken. I was
you
told
you mismanaged.
I mismanaged. No, he was. Kim was great. When I got a job at Kim Radio, I couldn't believe it. I thought I died and went to heaven, because you know KIMN. That was it. That was the station everybody listened to. Everybody went to the drive-in to. Everybody danced to. They
You
came
woke
to all
up
the
in the
sock
morning,
hops.
did your
woke
hair
up in the
too?
morning with it. I mean, it was the station for young people, and it was so popular, and it was a great community-based station. They did a lot of zany events and stunts.
And you were part of that.
Oh yeah, and I was very much honored, and it was probably the thrill of my life to work there, and then to turn around and be their creative services and marketing promotion director. And so what that meant was I was responsible for all of the games and contesting and the Kim Chicken, the events we did, like I produced Skyfire, I built the haunted house, I did, you know, all of those things were tied in kind of everything I loved in my life, like working with my hands and theater and craziness and
everything you wanted.
Yeah, everything I wanted was in that job. It was a wonderful, wonderful thing. I mean, I would produce Skyfire, and I mean, think about this. There was like 200,000 people that would come to that event. 100,000 in the parks. We'd have to plan egress and ingress and plan then the program director, of course, would pick the music and then get the fireworks contracts lined up and what we were going to do on stage and, you know, everything about it. And then, of course, the haunted house, I built that for many, many years. We used to do Kim Scream in the Dark. And that was that was fun.
They did a lot of cool things like dropping eggs from buildings.
Yeah, we did the egg drop. Oh my God, that was so much fun. We would get to the top of like a 30-story building in downtown Denver, and we had the great egg drop. And you'd have to come up with a device. If you want to enter, you'd make a device that could catch an egg. We'd get on the building and hang Randy J over the top, and he would drop an egg, and it would go down the entire thing, and you had to catch it without cracking the egg. And you had to wear helmets and shoulder pads because the egg, I mean, gravity is gravity, right? So one of the years when we did the egg, it hit somebody in the shoulder and cracked their shoulder. Wow. So we were like, okay, you have to wear. So people were out there in like helmets and pads and these egg catching devices, and oh my God, that was so much fun. It was so much fun.
Crazy.
And we did the
stuff.
Steve Kelly stunts when he washed every window and he pogoed across the state and he sat in every seat in Miles Stadium, all that stuff.
And what about smashing the cars? I thought that was the coolest.
Oh, the old
everybody gets a
smack the cars.
yeah,
I wasn't there
the
with
hell out of the car.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were part
Sledgehammer,
of
yeah,
that. Yeah,
you beat the car
smash it up.
We I dropped a car through a roof. What what would you do for it was like $10,000 in cash and a trip around the world or something like that. So and then the 5 top people, we actually had them act out what they would do. Well, this one person, there's Clarice. Hello, Clarice. Clarice Cordova, they have, you know what they have, don't you? They have, oh gosh, let's slip my mind. I got to remember the name of the restaurant, and I go there all the time. Chubby's. Wonderful. So these people said they would drop a car through their house and then drive it out the side, and the woman would come running out wrapped in a towel yelling, "The sky is falling," and the guy would drive the car out of the house after they dropped it through the house. So we said, well, we want to see that. Okay. And so they literally, it was over here and right up here actually, and they dropped a car through the roof of a house, and they had to take the gas out first, and put the gas back in, and then she comes running out in a towel screaming, "The sky is falling, the sky is falling," and a guy drove out the window, and I think they won. I mean, like how weird is that? Somebody else, they turned their Chevy Blazer, it was like a 75 Chevy Blazer, into a swimming pool. So they took everything out the inside, and they lined it up, and they filled it with fish and water, and the guy lived in the scuba gear in there for like 3 days, and then he drove it off in the scuba gear. So and another person...
You wonder, what do they think? I mean,
this was great. Another person took their Ford Falcon, drove it to the studio, and that time we were in Monaco. We had left the old building, and we were at the new building, working there. And he took only parts in the Ford Falcon, took it all apart, built a lawnmower, mowed our yard, and then put it back together and drove off.
Why was he tripping?
Yeah, oh my God, the things with that station, I can't even.
That station just did so many things. It's history. It's like
it really is
a big time history.
And we did the world's largest garage sale. We did the Kim Parade of Lights. The Parade of Lights used to be called the Kim Parade of Lights.
Yes.
Yeah, so we were doing that. Had a drunk Santa one year. That was kind of like in the movies. That was fun. We had some great DJs, that were just absolutely well-known, wonderful, fun, quick-witted.
Tim Kelly and
Steve Kelly, Stu Evans, Bob Carson, both Stephen B. and the Hawk had worked there at one time. Paxton Mills, Randy J.
I like Randy J. He was really
he's great. He's still on the air. He's great. So many of the people that are just household names that we grew up with.
And it's big. And then everybody would get in their cars and go to the sock hop, and AM, they'd crank it up. Kim would be blasting in their
And we had
cars.
the bumper sticker and the big road shows, and we had a lot of kooks.
Tell us more about that Kim chicken. I mean, you had a
yeah.
tough time keeping that under control, right?
Oh, well, not too bad. I used to tease her. I used to say everybody, I had the greatest job in town. I had 2 men, because we had Chicken and Chicken Little, which was his son, that worked for me, and they both wore their peckers on their face. But
Lord.
Oh God. So anyway, very talented man, very, very talented man. But sometimes, he would get a little bit feisty. And Jimmy, that was the chicken. He he was no Disney character. Let's put it that way. So he'd be out. They hatched Chicken Little out of an egg at the Nugget game. At the Nuggets games, and they brought. He became the part of the team, and so. But Chicken, both of them had a little bit of temper, and so you'd be out somewhere, and and you'd send them to a game like the state champion game. The Chicken would go. I mean, the Chicken was everywhere at the Nuggets games. It was kind of their unofficial
Even
mascot.
the high schools,
high school games. He
was
was everywhere. People wanted him all the time, and I booked him constantly. And but he would get mad because people like to beat up people. Kids especially don't think about who's in the suit, and they beat you up when you're wearing one of those suits. They hit you, they punch you, they trip you. They think it's funny. It's they're trying to act big. So. People would, some kids would come up and hit him, and then he'd call them like little effers. He'd be like, "Hey, you little effer!" And one time I got a phone call. I'm at work, and I get a phone call, and I'm like, "Hello, I want to talk to the Kim Chicken's boss." I said, "Well, I'm in charge of the Kim Chicken. What can I do for you?" And I think this is horrible. We were driving down the street, and he's standing on the side of the road with his head off. His head off. I said, "Okay." And he goes, and he's kicking the tires, and he's screaming the F word at the top of his lungs. and I was like,
that was probably funny too.
I know. I was like, but I'm like, okay, well, I'll have talk with him, ma'am. I hung up. I'm like, Jim.
Guess what I just got?
We're laughing our butts off, but it's like you can't do that, God.
Just interesting stuff.
Oh, he got in a fight once at a Bronco game, and I was like, oh God.
Now, did he ever get arrested or anything?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No.
I think if he did, they let him go because back
then.
Yeah,
they loved the kid.
Back then, everybody knew you. I mean, you didn't get arrested if you worked at places like Kim. You could do anything, and they'd be like, "Don't do it again. Go home."
Yeah, get out of here. That's the Kim Chicken.
They didn't even charge you when you go to restaurants half the time.
Now you kept going. You went to KUHS.
I went to KUHS. When they launched KUHS, I came on board, and they had launched the station, and then I came on board shortly thereafter, and was part of the team that took it to #1 in every demographic.
That was good.
Yeah,
I used to
we were
always
#1
listen
in
to
every
Cool.
single demographic, from all over, from 18 to 65, and
Everybody
every
listened to
segment
Cool.
thereof. It was amazing.
Because they played the variety. It's like our station. We played. You play variety. People
Well,
tend to migrate.
Cool
to
was
you.
a lot of fun too, but I think it also, if you remember, that was another time when we were going through strife in the country.
I remember that. Yeah.
And typically, when economic strife hits, psychologically, you return to a time that was more favorable to you.
Yes.
You return to a time where you're safe and your child.
You feel good.
So the music of Cool became the music of not only the generation what it was originally intended for, but another generation, because people were returning to that time. They wanted to
And
feel
that
good.
music, you
That
guys
music.
are on the format.
And music is the thing that triggers that. So if you remember at the time, all the commercials, everything had that kind of music.
Yes.
Everything was going. And so we not only was the station wonderful, it was owned by the Roy Disney family, but not only was the station wonderful, it hit a psychological need and a need for safety, and that's what
Safety net feel.
Safety net feel, yeah.
Mhm.
And it was great programmed. Chris Elliott was programmer, and then Skywalker, and they were just phenomenal program directors, and we had a great air staff there. Randy J was there too. I've worked with Randy like 4 times,
Hey, Rhonda.
and many people that I had worked with at Kim were actually there, and so
That's probably why you get quality people who've been with a big station.
and the sales reps and the people that were
they know how to push
they know
it.
how to do it, and so it was a great thing. We had a lot of fun. I was part of the Cool concert group. I produced that for couple years.
Tell us about that. That was
Yeah.
so cool because everybody loved the Cool concerts.
Yeah, well, Cool
And
concert.
what you got? What
What
type of groups? I mean, what
well,
made you go to the?
The
type of
original
groups that you
Cool
did?
concert was at the old Bronco Stadium, Mile High Stadium, and we would sell 80,000 tickets. We'd sell them for $1.05 each. It was a part of the anniversary
I
of the
remember that.
station.
It was so cool.
So we would sell it out like really quickly, and we would print the tickets ourselves and divide them up ourselves, and we would get sponsors, and then go to the sponsors and give them each their tickets that they could sell at their stores, and then we would. I mean, it was a big ordeal because we had to do the kill seats. We had to figure out where to lay the tarps on the ground. We had to hire the bands, do the riders, and that was all in my. I did that, so that was all my.
And the red M&Ms.
Yeah, that was my in my department. So it was a pretty crazy thing. So I'd have to, and the program director would of course say these are the acts we want, and then be very involved in that, of course. But then the execution of it would all be,
It was
around
done
me.
so well. Everybody loved that
Yeah.
105,
And we
$1.05 for the ticket.
Oh, it was so much fun.
Everybody loved it.
Producing that was really a highlight. But some of the highlights of Cool Concert and that are funny is we were dealing with oldies groups,
Yeah.
obviously.
And you had to get a lot of oxygen.
Yeah, they didn't. They're dead now. But the and some of the groups that I remember the most, whether for good or bad, when I was at Cool, the Monkees, they were wonderful. Peter Noon, the girls at the station, we used to run around and say we would drink his bathwater. It was so cute. Oh, I would drink his bathwater. Really cute from Herman's Hermits. The Grassroots came in. We had Leslie Gore. We had all of them. But I think Johnny Rivers. I think the concert were the funniest thing. 2 funniest things that happened to me when they were both at the same concert was when we had Mary Wells, Johnny Rivers. We had who did the hand jive? I can't think of his name right now. And then we had Jerry Lee Lewis.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, and so the 2 funny stories revolve around Jerry Lee Lewis and Mary Wells, who was the first woman of Motown. And so Jerry Lee Lewis had a history of not showing up. Like he would just not show. He was a no-show guy. And so when we booked him, everyone was like, "Oh," and my boss says, "He better show up. It's your job on the line." I'm like, "How can I make him show up?"
Yeah.
It's like,
You
oh
know,
my
wow,
God.
how artists would do that.
And so the Shamrock, which the chain was owned by the Disney family, had him booked in for a concert in another city. So they flew me out to Pittsburgh, I think it was, to meet with him and to kind of get him excited about the show. So hopefully he would show up. So I go out and I'm backstage hanging out with everybody and all the acts, and there's a bunch of acts there, and Jerry Lee, and got to know him pretty well. And I said, Jerry, you're coming to Denver next for our tour. I said, you might be doing some other places, but your next tour you're doing with our broadcast group is in Denver. And we sold 80,000 or 85,000 seats out in about 4 hours. I said, that sold out faster than Michael Jackson. Of course, we were doing the Victory Tour, and I got to help with
I
that,
remember that,
which was
yeah.
really cool. I got to be backstage at that, but that's another story. So anyway, he's all excited. I mean, my God, this is huge. This is how old it has been, and he sold 80,000. I made it sound like it was him,
Yeah.
Not it was a bucket ticket, and everybody wanted to go for the experience.
That's the real deal.
And so he was all excited. Couldn't wait to come. So he comes. He shows up. He's here. But his rider had made us get 2 hotel rooms, but both had to have certain kinds of pianos, turned to certain keys, have certain booze in each room. I mean, one was close to the venue, one was close to the airport. It was like, oh God, please. But anyway, we do all this stuff. We have Johnny Rivers there. We have all these people there. And we're thinking, how can we keep Jerry happy? This is so bad. Okay, this is so bad. Well, we're thinking, hey, well, someone goes, hey, he likes young girls. Our receptionist looks pretty young. Let's just dress her up young and let her be the one to pick him up at the airport. I'm like, oh, let's ask her.
That's a good idea.
That's a good idea. And here we are. Now, back then, nobody cared. Okay, it's radio. We're a bunch of dummies. Okay.
Let's do this.
We always say radio is a bunch of C students making boatloads of money. So we're like, okay. So we go up there and we ask her. I can't remember her name now. I can't remember her name now, but I say it was Jan. We're like, hey, Janny, do you want to?
You want to do
this? We'll send a guy with you so you're not alone, but we need you to dress up young because he likes young girls. So she's like, yeah, I'll do it. Do I get a day off? Oh, we'll even give you an extra vacation day if you do it. Oh, okay, so she's happy as a clam. She's getting an extra vacation day or 2. She's getting off work that day. She's going to go pick up the celebrity in the thing. She's dressing up like a Catholic schoolgirl. We're sending her out. So this is so bad. So we get out there. She picks up Jerry Lee. And he's in heaven. I mean, he's just talking to her the whole way. Hi, darling. How you doing, darling? He put his chin up, And he's just loving her. And they bring him to the thing. They check him in. He said, "You gonna be here?" She said, "Well, no, I'm gonna have to go to the concert, but we'll pick you up to go to the show. But I can't, obviously come in the room with you. I'm gonna." So we said, and if it's weird, you just let the guy know when it's over. We don't care if he does a show. But anyway, so so she drops him off, and everything. We pick him up. She's with him, pick him up. We get him to the concert venue, and of course she's there, and she's in the backstage. And he doesn't want any men around him now.
Oh,
at this point, he wants only women backstage. Except my husband. He did let my husband stand outside the door because my husband's a big boy, especially when we were young. Big guy, played college ball. Was big old buff guy. So they put him over there, and so he's outside the door, and we're in there, and he's drinking. I mean, he is
drinking.
He's drinking. I mean, like I'm telling you, the man can drink. So he's drinking, and he's doing all this fun stuff, and he's asking people their names, and then he's making up songs about them. And he's making songs at piano, singing their little names, and I gotta check this off. They're changing their little names, and then he's playing with his feet, and he's still hitting the notes. And I'm going, my God, this guy's amazing. And then he's like, Rhonda, and he's saying, Rhonda, make a song for Rhonda. He's changing his words like Maybelline, or whatever the song is with our names in it. And he's just having the time of his life. And he comes up to me, and not once, and I'm going to tell you this is absolutely true. God, strike me dead right now. Not once, not twice, 3 times. The man looks at me. Remember, 85,000 people are in that stadium, screaming and laughing and yelling, and says to me, "Darling, have I been on stage yet?" What?
He was so loaded, he couldn't tell me.
He didn't know. 3 times he asked me. Not once, 2, 3 times. 3 times. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I almost said to him, yes, because I thought he was kidding. And then I realized if I would have said yes, he'd have gotten the limo, went back to the thing, and been the no-show. That solved the no-show problem. He thought he would have been on. 3 times. My husband was standing right there. He looked at me. He goes, "Oh my God, how messed up do you have to be to not know if you stood on a stage in front of 85,000 people?"
And you're sitting there like,
And then he gets on stage. And he's phenomenal. He plays with his feet, and he's doing every song. He was absolutely fantastic.
For in case you just joined us, you're here with Up Close and Personal with Rhonda Sheya. What we do here at KUHS is we bring our VDJs in here to talk about their life, what they've done, all these cool things that you don't get to share on their shows because they're doing the shows. So that's what this is all about with Rhonda Sheya here on Up Close and Personal. The show that this is our 6th one, I think. Yeah. So we're going to keep going through everybody as we get time. But if you're just joining us, Rhonda Sheya, Up Close and Personal. So let's continue on. This is some good stuff. This is stuff you can't
Mary
dream up.
Mary Wells, who I loved, she was a great Motown singer, the first lady of Motown. And there's Robert. He's at the dentist. Say ah. Anyway, so Mary Wells, she sang "My Guy." So anyway, she had brought her daughter. Her daughter was Sugar Baby Wells. She called her Sugar Baby. I don't know what her real name was, but we all knew her as Sugar Baby. What a delightful young girl. She was about 8 at the time, 7 maybe, some little.
Yeah. And
Mary Wells was old to have a 6 or 7-year-old.
Yeah.
She, or at least I thought she was. She was probably 40, but to be that again. Anyway, so she was having a problem, and her nylons ran, and she needed another pair. So we had sent one of the sales reps back to go to the store to get nylons, and brought him back to her, and so she had to get ready real quick. And so I'm walking by the dressing room. She says, "Come here, Rhonda." And I go, "Yeah, what?" She goes, "Would you do me a favor and watch Sugar Baby while I get dressed?" And I'm like, I'm running a concert. I got 85,000 people. I'm in charge of the whole thing. Okay, yeah, sure, I'll babysit. You know, so I'm like, yeah, no problem. And I'm like, I got the walkie-talkie. I'll be fine. So I'm back there, and Sugar Baby's sitting there, and she's playing. And she says, "Sing me a song."
Oh my
Now,
God!
I can't carry a tune in a basket. I'm like, I don't want to sing a song in front of Mary Wells, the first woman in Motown. You gotta be kidding me. She's like, "Sing me a song, sing me a song." I'm like, oh my God, she won't shut up. And so I'm like, okay, so I'm going, "The wheels on the bus go round and round, round." And
No, you didn't.
Yeah, and
No,
so we're
you
singing, and so anyway, I'm singing with her, and we're singing together, and pretty soon, from the back of the dressing room, Mary Wells yells out, "Sugar Baby, don't you listen to that white girl sing, she'll ruin you."
No, sir. No, sir.
Swear to God.
No, sir.
Swear to God.
No,
Swear to
come
God.
on, Ron.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
She'll ruin you.
You're hearing it first here on KUHS. Up close and personal with Rhonda Sheya. Some of the things she's been through, her stories are so cool that it can only happen to her, right?
I don't know. They
It's
happen
only-
to a lot of people.
Well, no, nothing like this.
And then I
Mary
think
Wells.
when I was at Kim KYGO, because KYGO was the sister station at the time, at the time,
Yeah.
we met Dolly Parton.
Oh
And
my gosh.
Dolly was my favorite all time. I've met many, probably 100 or more celebrities in the time that I worked in media. And I have to tell you that Dolly Parton was absolutely the most gracious, beautiful, cordial, fun person, a genuine person that I've ever had the opportunity to meet that was in that position. You know.
And you find these people that some are really just God, they're evil, and the other ones are so sweet, and they come in all different. You just want to say cancel.
I don't know why that's even coming through.
I know mine too. I put it on Do Not
I
Disturb,
did
and
too.
I got 2 of them.
Oh, it's weird. Don't call me.
Don't call.
Don't call me, please. I'm
And
busy
so-
being famous. Don't call me.
So Rhonda, after you went from Cool, you went somewhere else too.
I went to
now.
Channel 7.
Yeah,
I
so
was
let's
at Channel
talk about
7,
that.
yeah.
Tell us. Then that was crazy too. Going to TV is a whole different
It's a
ball
whole
of
different
wax.
ball game, but I got to use my video, learn more video skills, and I tried, of course I had studied that in college, but I'd never worked in television, which was kind of amazing to get to be the creative services / marketing / promotion manager for a station at that time in the top 20 market, which was CBS at the time.
And that's really
Yeah.
nice, because
And I was
there's
one of the few women in the country in that role, by the way.
Back then,
You didn't
how
see
come?
women in that
you
role,
never
yeah.
seen women inside the TV component back then.
Well, you didn't see them in the higher level management
right,
positions.
and I wonder
yeah.
why.
Well, it was a good old boys network. Media was a good old
That's
boys network until probably the late 80s. I mean, when I was general manager at Radio Disney, I was like one of the only, at the time I think it might have been one other, Pam Kenny, who was at the classical music station. That was it for the women general managers. Now today most of them are women, but then there weren't any. I mean,
And what's interesting, you were here talking with Rhonda Sheya, up close and personal, talking about, like, you had Kim, that's one of the
I worked in the old building, get the building up there on the screen. I don't know if people can see it.
And it was
it's up
across
there.
the street from Sloan's
Sloan's,
Lake.
yeah. And it had like dirt floor, cinder block building with feral cats in the basement. Swear to God. It was like the worst building, but we loved it.
It worked.
Yeah, it worked. It was.
And it became
And it took
very
us a
big.
while. When we moved, we kind of dipped in ratings and dipped in revenue. We moved to the #1 state-of-the-art building from the worst building. And we got there and all people could do was complain. I can't find this, I can't find that. I can't. It's like, wait a minute.
They're used to the
It
dirt
took- well, it was
kind of
just the
thing.
shift, and then we finally got used to it and it was wonderful.
And radio has really changed from back then to now. It went from AM to FM to to live streaming, and now
Right.
everybody's into this live streaming because you can reach so many people. Now you went to
Channel 7, yeah.
to Channel 7. Give us a little rundown.
Well,
on that.
what I did there was I was in charge of creative services and marketing, and so what that is that's what you see the promos on there when you're watching a television station and you see the stuff they're talking about for themselves. Like up tonight on News Tonight, we'll be covering the tornado that hit Strasbourg or whatever, and then the promos about the general stuff at the station. When they show all their anchors and they're out in Colorado and they're talking about the state, and
Are you the one who did that one where it says the love doctor was riding his bike down the street when it suddenly burst into flames? Is that the one?
That's
you
it.
did?
Yeah.
That's it.
So every day we would go in the studio, we would produce TV commercials about the station to run on the station right prior to the newscasts. We would also produce on film, which is hardly done anymore. It's a lost art.
It's all digital now.
Yeah, we would go out and shoot film, and we'd have our camera crews and stuff shoot film, and then get that edited into the actual overall network or station promos for the overall station as a whole. We worked with the syndicators. Like I get to have dinner with Oprah. That was kind of cool.
That was awesome.
Yeah, like Oprah, King World, who would distribute Oprah's properties, and the various game shows. You know, Sally Jesse Raphael, Oprah, Wheel of Fortune. You know, all those. And so you'd work with them in co-oping the ad campaign that you would put together to promote their stuff on radio in the market, as well as on your own station to comply with the contracts.
Now, the other thing about doing this kind of thing with television now, what they do now, and you know, like when the cameras come here, like 31.2 or whatever, everything's now recorded in digital. They
But it was big back then.
Yeah, they pop the little thing over at the station, then they.
It was on tape. You had to go in.
Now there's no.
You'd go into an edit bay, and there were 3 sets of film, and or tape, and you'd put the tape in, and then they would this would be the middle where you wanted to end up, and then one side would be one would be the other, and you put it in there, and you take it, mix it, and get together and cut it, and get it out there, and take, you know, it might have been a 30-minute interview down to 1 minute.
And that's like you watch them now. It's all touchscreen digital.
Yeah, it's a lot easier now.
It's like it's incredible.
It's a lot quicker now, I should say. It might not be easier, it's quicker because it takes a talent. So I oversaw the people that did that, and then we would go out, like I said, and shoot promos like NTR, which is non-traditional revenue. I oversaw that in both in radio and television, where somebody come in and say, hey, the Lipizan Stallions are going to be here. We need some kind of a promotion to get the buy. Yeah. So we'd come up with, okay, well, let's do this or let's do that, you know.
So that way they can.
Yeah. So my job was very quick on the feet, both in television and radio, to come up with solid marketing solutions for clients who needed more than just a commercial.
And here's just something about what's going on nowadays, and the way they do it. Like we were talking about tape.
I know, we still use it.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so putting together those creative ideas, or if we had events or things of that nature that the station was sponsoring to oversee that.
So all these lines need to go change from, we captured it on tape, no, we captured it on digital capture.
Well, it's too hard to say. And then we had a radio studio, and we would produce the radio commercials that would run every day. So because we wouldn't know what the news was going to be, so we had to do them like that day to run that day. So it was like quick, get in there, write a spot, write a commercial, write a spot, produce it, get it out there. And then the ones, of course, that were more image building were campaigns that were designed to run over time. And I actually my department got a regional Emmy while I was there. So yeah, I was really pleased with that.
Now,
I got an Emmy. I was like, I have an Emmy.
Now, as time went on, Rhonda, things changed in your life.
Yeah. And
we're going to go over some of that. We only have so much time, but I want to cover this area. An area that it was life-changing for you.
There have been a couple of those.
Yeah, so we're going to go over those. I mean, because it helps people, and you're doing so much help out there in the community.
I've always been involved in the community. I think we have to be good citizens, and I think corporations need to be good corporate citizens.
You're such a wonderful person, but everybody runs through some sort of life-changing event or something, health-wise, or losing family member, whatever it may be. But with yours, it was something different, wasn't it?
Well, I had a lot of things that happened in my life in a very short period of time that were life-changing.
It was just
it was amazing. I lost.
But you're so humble. You still smile every day. You bring so much. To the studio. I hear your name a lot inside the studio from the other VDJs, and that says a lot about you because. Hey, I really like what she was saying. Oh, did you hear that? On the
which
one? On the WTF
It's the ADD.
show.
Like something will come up and I'll just think of it and say it, just blurt it out.
But you're zany.
Yeah,
that's the word I hear.
I've always been that way. And
you're sharp. You're quick-witted, and you used to actually be a stand-up.
I did stand up. Yeah, I've done stand up for a while.
Comedian.
I did that for a while.
Give us a little rundown on that, and then
I quit doing that because
they started throwing tomatoes.
No, because one time I did a stand up for a convention, and they gave me names of people to make fun of, and I started making fun of it, and it turns out it was the founder of the thing that had died.
Oh my gosh.
I was so mortified that I haven't been able to get on stage since. I was like, oh my God, making fun of a dead guy, that's great. Boy, the room was dead too, and I said, they just,
How come that happens sometimes?
It just does. But actually, I'm going to get back into it. I've been threatening to get back into it.
But it's really, I mean, you bring it to the WTF show. You really do. You don't think you do, but
it's fun.
That's like I said, I hear a lot about.
There's so much irony in life.
Yes, and you
have to laugh. If you don't laugh, you may as well be dead. It's just, you got to laugh. Life is hard, and you better laugh. But I went through a really rough patch, like you said, and it was after I had gotten out of I was at radio. I didn't mention this, but I had my own business for many years, about 9 years, And one day the Disney family and the Disney Corporation got a hold of me and asked me about being general manager for Radio Disney. Since I had worked for them at Cool, I had worked with the family, and they were doing a search and couldn't find anybody in Denver, and I guess the search thing turned up my name, and then Susan Disney, I mentioned my name, and then somebody else mentioned my name. So it was like, okay, we got to talk to this lady. So I ended up being general manager, took it to being the top Radio Disney station in the country from revenue building and exposure and everything else, and loved it. Was there for several years. And then for some reason I get bored easy. My friend Steve Keeney, who used to be the general manager at KIMN, decided to open up 2 stations and said, hey, come and work for me. I'd love you to be in charge. And I was like, well, this sounds really fun. Get back in regular radio again. So I went over there. And then the economy fell. That was like 2008, and there wasn't enough money to keep operating new properties, new stations. So
it's so hard to, especially when they bankrupt the world. The
and
whole
then,
world got bankrupt.
But at that time, my best friend was dying of breast cancer, and the woman that I had known since I was a child, and it was really tough. And so I decided I wasn't going to work. I was going to leave, and I was going to help her do some bucket list things and help her pass away. And so I did that, and then I sat around and moped for a while, and one of my friends that I knew from Radio Disney who had gone on to be work at a university said, we've got an opening for internal and external relations person at Regis. And I didn't want to go back in the media. I was too beat up. I was too tired. I was too beat up. I was too everything. So I thought that'd be great. So I went over to Regis University and did that for about 6 years. And
Regis is awesome.
And then I got breast cancer. And
this is the life-changing area that Rhonda's going to share with
and it wasn't just breast
everybody.
cancer, because I had lost, by the time I got breast cancer, I had lost my 2 closest friends. I had lost both my parents. I had lost most of my aunt and uncles on one side. I had lost my niece. We had lost my husband's best friend.
Oh my gosh.
I was audited by the IRS for 3 years.
They're awful, aren't they?
Yeah, and I was in the middle of breast cancer, and then I eventually lost my brother-in-law as well. And this all took place in a period of less than 7 years.
Oh my gosh.
And it was about a 5.5-year period, and that was really tough. Because
extremely, and like I said, you're such a humble person. You generate, your energy is so warm.
And my husband wasn't feeling well either, so I was having some health issues with him. So there was a number of things that took place all at once, and it was probably the hardest stretch I've ever had, because every time I turned around, it was something like major happen. I was like, okay, so and so's dead, fine. So by the end, when somebody died, literally, I didn't even respond. It was just like, okay.
Whatever.
You
had this, Well,
another person's gone. No one bites the dust.
You went through all this trying times. What did you do? Or meditation, yoga?
I drank.
Oh, come on. I drank. Whatever.
I don't know what I did.
You're so
I did
strong.
2 things.
There's something you want to share that with.
Well,
whoever.
I did a couple of things. One was I started volunteering, and that's where I got involved with Camp Wapi Yapi, where I work today. Because when you're doing things for others, it's hard to feel sorry for you. So I started volunteering. The other thing I did was I read the Bible from cover to cover.
Whoa.
And that was had a big impact on me.
Now, when you went through this trying times, did they give you any kind of chances that things could go completely the opposite way and you could be no longer with us?
Well, yeah, I mean, anytime you have a life-threatening disease, you've got that over your head. But
now, how do you the strength you have is all this cool stuff that you've done, and the strength you had to do all this cool stuff. Then you get to this point, and then you still have this bucket of strength that.
Well,
how do people even?
First of all, I wasn't. People that knew me well know that I was really on teetering. It was tough.
I was teetering.
I was teeter-tottering right there. It was pretty tough. And but I will tell you that that I do have to say that God helped me get through that.
And so you were able to get through it.
Yeah.
Now,
and not saying that I'm going around carrying a Bible and going crazy on that, but what I am saying is that without that to ground me and without faith, I don't think I would have got through it.
And the time that you spent dealing with this, 2 years?
Breast cancer?
Yeah.
5.
5
I
years.
just got over just at my 5-year mark.
Yeah, because I remember that you were going. You were telling me a lot about it, and I was like,
you have treatments, and then you have your after treatments, and then you have to go, and you're not really safe. You're never safe, but you're not really kind of safe until you hit that 5-year mark. And I just hit that in March. So
now tell us about this. You also do this, and some of the things she does is photography. And this is how I met Rhonda.
Yeah. I had a show. I had a gallery that was displaying my work, and
she does the most beautiful types of photographs. I mean, they're calendar type. They're the kind that you hang on your wall. They're just beautiful, clear
We'll have to post some. We'll put some up on.
I was going to put some back on.
We'll put some up on the KUHSdenver.com Facebook page. Yeah, we can do that.
Now check this out. With Rhonda doing all this photography, she was a guest on one of the shows, and she came in there, and I was listening to her talk about photography. Then all of a sudden, I heard this come through. I was part of KIM Radio.
And that was and the rest is history.
The rest is history.
I'm very fortunate, like I said, to be part of Kim, part of Cool, part of Sassy Martini, general manager at Radio Disney. I mean, my career in media was very successful.
And what's really interesting is being here at KUHS.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people say this about KUHS. We're a small unit with huge reach, and that's how we've built it over 11 years. But you're on here. Your WTF show does a really good job. And like I said, a lot of people talk about what you say. Did you hear what you said? Yeah, I did.
It's a little crazy.
It's cool.
You know, but let me tell you, it's
what made you dream up WTF?
Well, you know, it wasn't that fantastic, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so much going on anymore, and even before the crazy that we're in now, there was so much going on that how many times a day will you just stop and go, what the hell is going on? I mean, I find myself all the time going, I can't believe this, I can't believe that, what's this, oh my God, what an idiot. And so I thought, you know what, I should just take all that stuff and put it on a show, and come in and just do a show that's all about
whatever.
What?
But it fits everything you bring in here.
And of course, on the music side, we mostly play themed music, whatever the theme is
it's
for
really
the day.
good stuff.
And then there's a little bit of break, but there's very little of that. But on the video side, of course, we're having the conversations about politics and about anything and everything. And you know, it doesn't. Just because I say it doesn't even mean I believe it. Sometimes it's just funny.
You throw your jarbs in there real quick, and that's
you know. But I mean, I make no secret of it in the show that it's politically slanted, and I will say slanted because it's not news, and it's not meant to be news. It's fake news. Okay,
now,
so
personally,
it's the home of great music and fake news. So it's meant to have a discussion, but it's not meant to be take it to the bank.
Yeah, like,
you know, I'm not sitting there as Brian Williams in the news hour doing the news. What I'm doing is picking out the things that are odd and weird and stupid and dumb and talking about them. And unfortunately, many of those relate to our current president.
Now, what's interesting is you also do all this personal stuff. You went on a trip to Mexico with your daughter, and you down deep.
We swam with a crocodile.
No,
that was scary as hell.
Yeah. Is that a crocodile in your?
Yeah, you could tell it was a crocodile.
Just go over there,
you didn't have to ask. I mean, you could tell. Old teeth sticking up. You know. But anyway, and what happened was after I'm going to go back to this. After I had my cancer, and I did a lot of thinking, and I had some very dear friends that helped me through those times when I don't know if I would have got through without them. And in particular, you know, I don't think I would have got through if I hadn't had built up some faith, you know, and figured out that there's a lot more of this world than what we're seeing now. So,
and like
I got through it, and then I didn't want to go back and do anything. I just wanted to do something important with whatever time was left. And so that's how I ended up. I've been volunteering for years at the Listen Foundation. I'm president of the board of directors for them. They work with hearing impaired and deaf children. And how I ended up at Wapi Api was through all of that.
In Camp Wapi Api.
Yeah, in Camp Wapi Api.
Tell us a little bit about that.
That's my heart.
Yeah, and so it's about children who go to there to just be themselves instead of suffering from
cancer. The Camp Wapi Api is a free summer camp for children who have cancer and their siblings. So, and the sibling piece is very, very important because the siblings, the minute the diagnosis hits the family, the childhood for every child in that family stops. They simply know too much about life. They don't have that feeling that nothing can happen bad to them. They don't have that I'm infallible feeling. There's doctors and nurses, and you can't bring friends over because Johnny's been on chemo and his immune system's too low, and your friends might make him sick. And you got to spend the night at this neighbor's house who you don't even know because I have to be at the hospital with my, with your brother or sister. The relationships in the family take a hit. And so what Camp Wapi Api does is it brings the siblings and the patients to camp. They can hang together or not hang together, depending on what the children want. But they get a chance to be a regular kid, forget about those worries, be with other kids that have similar stories, and that they don't have to explain anything. Nobody has to explain at Camp Wapi Api why you don't have hair. Everybody, it's just, nobody cares, and you don't have to explain it. And mom and dad aren't there over worrying, and I shouldn't say that because you're going to worry, but you're not there, and so the kids are there, and we're taking really good care of them. We have doctors from Children's Hospital and nurses and emergency room doctors and all kinds of people that volunteer up there to make sure that these kids can go ziplining and swimming and play in the craft. 200 kids, approximately about 150 to 200 kids every year a week of childhood. Just give it back to them.
And what's so interesting about you, Rhonda, you've got the kids on the radio. One time it was raining up there.
Yeah,
so
weren't they cute?
Oh,
yeah.
that was so awesome. Got her on the radio. Got them on the radio. Then also, she also got on the radio to give away a car for the
For Cancer
Cancer
League of Colorado.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then she's also raised funds through the station for Camp Wapi Wapi through there was people donating. It wasn't a huge bunch, but it was donated.
Oh yeah, it was great.
It came through really nice.
Well, and Henry, we're going to donate my show, a slot in my show, to the auction that's coming up for Camp Wapi Wapi in September. We'll be putting that online as we get closer, where you can bid and you can be the DJ for the day and come in and we'll help you. I'll be in the studio to help you, but you and a friend can come in and pick the music, or you can do a talk show. You can do whatever you want. We're going to put that up for bidding. To raise money for Wapi Wapi during their auction. And the big fundraiser is coming up September 26th. And if anybody wants to go to that, it's not real expensive, but it's a lot of fun. It's you just go to campwapiwapi.org and go under events and look for campfires and cocktails.
Now, what's really good is that if you joined us, it's up close and personal with Rhonda Sheya. You got to hear a little bit, just a little touch of what Rhonda went through in her entire life. And we ended it with, look at how sweet and nice she still is, generating all this love here after going through life-changing events.
Everybody has those, though.
Yes,
everybody goes through them.
Everybody goes through them.
And you just got to kind of work your way through
and
it.
But you're still smiling. You're still, you always
I'm trying.
You radiate.
I'm still
so
trying.
Much. I always admire you. I look at her and I say, "Geez," and I smile at you, and she goes, "What are you looking at?" I go, "You, Ron. You're happy. You bring
Thank you.
a good-looking lady and all these kind of good things." So.
Well, we have the Boost show too.
Yeah.
The Boost Power Radio.
And, there's Boost Power Radio.
Yeah, we've been doing that for a year. That's going to stop on this station.
Let's talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to
well, Betsy Wiersma, who's a well-known community person and has a great networking, 5,000 women networking group, and I host a show called Boost Power Radio where we interview women that are changing the world. The kind of people that build a mall with a paper clip and a rubber band, and we put them on. And so we've been doing that, and that's gonna transfer over to a podcast. So we're gonna be off the air here, but doing that a little bit differently. But I'll still be on the WTF.
Yeah, so be live. Everything's live at KUHS. Everything is live, and then it's encoded and created into podcasting. Podcasting has been around since streaming started. It didn't take off, and then they took it, and nobody really said much. Then they're recoining it again as podcasting, and all it is just a recording popped back up there, so you can re-listen to it. Any of the shows. We've been doing this for quite some time. If you didn't get to see the show, you can still watch it on KUHSdenver.com, KUHS World Communications. You can probably look at you'll share it over to your own.
Yeah, it's on my page, and we'll be sharing it over to WTF and all that.
So
anyway, it's just fun.
You shared it all to KUHS Denver Friends, KUHS Super Friends. You gave me time to share it all over the place, so everybody was watching. So you have a
anyway, it's a lot of fun. But it's been a fun ride. I've had some really incredible jobs, and I've been very fortunate that the things that I've done in my life. Cool, Kim, all the radio stations, general manager.
And we are fortunate.
I've traveled the world. I've
done
that.
It's like gold. It's been fun. Right here with Rhonda Sheya. Absolute gold, diamonds.
I love doing this.
Yeah, and you bring, like I said, your energy is so. And especially on your show, you come in and free. I get to do my show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I love that. I mean, I'm sorry. I just love it, and I just love saying what I feel.
Yes.
And
that's what's cool about KUHS.
Yeah.
And there's certain perimeters that we all know that we're not supposed to cross.
But we do.
We do. And
yes,
that's what
we
makes
do.
Everybody said, "Did you hear what they said? Did you?" And I get a lot of that.
It's a lot of buzz,
yeah.
That's a lot of buzz. And that's what you want to do. That's the whole idea with humor, is to get people talking, to get people thinking, to jumpstart that process, whether they agree with you or disagree with you. It starts a dialogue, and that's what I love about comedy.
So don't forget to watch for the next Up Close and Personal with one of our other...
Who's going to be next?
I don't know. The person who started it off with was Steve Stalzy.
Oh, okay.
And he's here now, the radio whisperer, and what was cool, I mean, he said something...
One time I had to give 3 eulogies in a week, and my friends started calling me the corpse whisperer. Just so you know.
Just so you know.
I was like, I don't like that name. Can we change that?
And Steve had such a great story, and then every story thereafter is like, Charlie was the man who pushes the button for world...
Oh, like the button guy?
Yeah, that pushes the button for
the bombs?
The bombs.
The bomb button guy?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so all these people that come in here is like, I'm like, huh?
That's pretty weird.
Well, everybody had a story, and it's just interesting, very interesting. The Love Doctor had stuff about his ex-wife and how you get through that marriage collapse and all these things that would just pop up and you think, huh? Yeah, it was really interesting. It was fun. So until the next time, watch for the next Up Close and Personal with our next VDJ. I've been trying to get some of the other ones in.
You didn't let me tell about my 2 children and my husband.
Yes, go ahead. You still have
I
time.
got a minute, because that's not right.
Yes.
That's important in
okay,
my life.
hold on. We're not going yet.
I've got a husband. He's an idiot.
But here's the thing, Rhonda.
Hi, honey. No.
Here's the thing is that sometimes they don't, and I'm not sure they don't like their husbands or their family brought into this, but you're welcome.
I just want to say that I've been married for 37 years, and to a man that like we mentioned, I went to high school with, and like I said, he's an idiot, but I love him anyway. And I've got 2 idiot children. They take after him. They're probably listening too. One works for CDOT. How do you like that? That'd be tough. And the other one's in Kentucky being a chef. So anyway, just wanted to give them a shout out and say
Yes, a beautiful family.
That's been the highlight of my life, is my family.
So with that being said, she got to say something about her husband and children. I was going to say something, but
idiots.
but sometimes I won't because it's private, and there's some of the other VDJs said don't get into it. So.
They're married. You can't find them.
With that being said,
I
thank you,
moved it
Rhonda.
up. They can't find me either.
Thank you very much, Rhonda.
Thank you.
It was really
Thanks for tuning in.
Yes. So we're going to say goodbye for now. So thank you for
Say goodbye,
joining us.
Henry.
Goodbye, Henry.
Goodbye, Henry.